So our next award is the Personal Achievement Award. An individual in our community with a disabling condition or handicap who either demonstrated outstanding achievement in overcoming their personal disability or circumstances in the service of others, or who's demonstrating excellent volunteer service by using their time and talents towards creating a better community for all. And I would like to introduce Christy Like, last year's Mayor's Medal of Honor recipient, to come say a few words and introduce this year's winner.
Creative, open, positive attitude, perseverance, Rochester famous, good bowler, coach, passionate, grateful, resourceful are all your words used to describe this nominee. The Personal Achievement Award is given to an individual who has demonstrated outstanding achievement in overcoming their personal disability or circumstances in the service of others. A person with a physical disability experiences a lot of barriers in their lifetime. Andy BROWNELL is not one to let his disability get in his way. While Andy and I have never officially met, I am a fan of his energetic and entertaining radio program, Rochester Today on KROC-AM. I have listened to him for many years before realizing he even had a disability. I remember being so amazed the day that I found out, like I should have known this because I've worked with people with disabilities for most of my life. And it just demonstrated to me that he's not one to let his disability define who he is. So when Ed Ruska mentioned Andy during the review committee meeting, we immediately agreed that Andy is deserving of this honor. I spoke with those close to Andy for this nomination. First was Ed. One day I gave Ed a call to learn more about his connection to Andy. I learned that he and Andy were longtime neighbors and shared different responsibilities within their neighborhood. Ed told me his observation of Andy was that he was always positive and grateful and didn't dwell on his limitations. For example, he may not have been able to throw snow like some of his neighbors, but his fantasy NASCAR and football stats were on point. Ed commented he regularly observed Andy rise up to meet his challenges with open eyes and a positive attitude, and never asked for consideration or accommodation, only finding creative ways to do what needed to be done. Andy's daughter, Alyssa, had this to say: "The quality that I admire most in my dad is his perseverance. He has never once allowed his physical limitations to deter him from setting and reaching his goals. When faced with an obstacle, he will work tirelessly to come up with a creative solution. Examples range from rigging up electronic curtains so he can open them independently, to putting hot rod wheels and pinstripes on his van to make it look less like a wheelchair van and more like a car show-worthy vehicle." She said, "He is my biggest role model and has taught me to work my hardest to achieve my goals and to always be thankful for what I have. He lives life with a grateful heart and strives to be a better person every day. Instead of using his circumstances as an excuse to do less, he sees them as a reason to do more and be more." From his son, Jerry: "I respect my dad so much for working so hard to stay independent. He could rely more on technology, but he fights through to do as much for himself as possible. I admire that he is still bowling in a community league and finds a way to still compete. Nobody picks up a split like my dad." And this from Tom Ostrom: "As a fellow radio colleague and co-host, Tom will tell you that Andy breaks the mold of radio hosts, mostly because he is so modest, which is not normal for a radio personality. And he also said he is very proud of you personally and professionally." And finally, from Andy's wife, Lori: "Andy always finds a way to contribute, whether at home or lending his knowledge to a colleague. One of my favorite stories is when our son was young and he wanted to help out with feeding him, so we put a pillow on his lap and he was able to feed him his bottle. Although he forgot to do one thing: turn off the power on his scooter. Jerry kicked the power switch and they both went crashing into the glass patio door. They both let out a big scream and were just fine, the door not so much. Andy will tell you that he is so fortunate to be born and raised in Rochester, the best city on the planet, and is grateful for the opportunity to contribute and work with so many wonderful people. In conclusion, I would like to share a couple of quotes that I read that reminded me of Andy. Disability is not a brave struggle or courage in the face of adversity. Disability is an art. It is an ingenious way to live. It is not the disability that defines you, it is how you deal with the challenges the disability presents you with. We have an obligation to the abilities we do have, not the disability. So without further ado, I present 2019's Personal Achievement Award to Andy Brownell.
You're gonna have to give me a ride to get over there. Okay. There we go. Here you go. I'll hold this. You want to put this one down? Yep. Doesn't have a very long.
No, it doesn't.
So you'll have to put it.
Oh, goodness, thank you. I'm embarrassed and humbled, honored, and not deserving. The folks in this room are being honored today. I'm humbled to be included in this group. I was not tricked, I was kidnapped. In the middle of a live radio show. I was told, are you leaving? And that's all there is to it. I didn't know if I was out of a job. And I should have got a hint this morning when my wife laid out dress shirts. And I ignored her because it's bowling night. This is my lucky mark. And I do love this city. My dad's family settled right outside of Stewartville in 1854. My mom's side of the family came in the 1880s. So yeah, it's ingrained in my soul. And I love the city, I love the folks that, who live here, I love what we've done to our city, and I'm just darn lucky to live here. I've often said, when folks ask about my disability, my limitations, I've said, I grew up in a community that is considered one of the best places to live in the entire world. How could I not be grateful for that? And I'm still one of the luckiest people on the planet. We all are. So, thank you.
Thank you.